And good morning, everybody. It's Sunday morning. This is the Fantasy Sports Boss here to review all of the action last night as preseason week 3 is winding down now, thankfully, because now we don't have to worry about injuries striking down some of our key guys during meaningless games. Overall, knock on wood, it's been as smooth as possible in terms of avoiding those kind of catastrophic injuries that we've seen in the past from key guys going down in games that don't count. So that's good. So let's, as I do every time, and of course, if you don't already subscribe to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Anybody that's followed me on my old website, the Fantasy Sports Boss, which I had for 15 years, knows that I did a wrap-up article every following every slate of games, usually the Monday morning. So I'm going to be doing instant wrap-ups after the games, probably on Sunday nights. And then, of course, the live fantasy football streams on Friday where I'll have guests and I'll take questions and discuss all the injuries and all that other stuff. Plus, during the actual games on Sunday, instant injury analysis as the injuries hit. So I'll be Johnny on the spot with all that because I'll be watching all the games. All right, anyway, as far as last night's slate of action, there was a lot of interesting outings. Now, of course, you got to take some of these with a grain of salt because many key defensive players are out. So looking at the offensive numbers, they are skewed a little bit. So you have to keep that in mind. But there were still some interesting notes nonetheless. So particularly in the Cleveland Browns-Chicago Bears game, Justin Fields went nuts. 14 of 16, 156 yards, 3 passing touchdowns, averaged 9.8 a throw, and then he ran twice for 11 yards. So listen, Justin Fields, the Bears are going to be terrible this season. There's no doubt about it. But Justin Fields is extremely talented. In terms of just pure talent, there may not be, you could maybe name 2 or 3 guys in the NFL, 5 tops. Let's go there. 5 tops that have more pure talent than Justin Fields. He can run like the wind. If you have a foot race with all the quarterbacks in the NFL, he'd be right there at the front. He has a cannon for an arm. The issue with Fields has always been accuracy and decision-making, and of course, coaching staff that led by Matt Nagy that set him up to fail last season. This season, it's not going to be easier. He's got probably the worst offensive line in front of him, but Fields does have some interesting weapons. Now, I'm going to do a separate video on the Bears later, so make sure you look for that because the Bears intrigue me from a fantasy football perspective, and I'm going to do a separate video later, so look for that. But in terms of Fields, we all know the cheat code with quarterbacks is their ability to run, all right? We're all going nuts over Trey Lance, who's only had 2 starts. We don't know what Trey Lance can be, all right? He could absolutely fall on his face this season, and Jimmy G could be starting, by week 4. So we don't know. Jalen Hurts, even though he's got more of a leash this season because he played well last year, he's still inconsistent throwing the football. So Fields, his ability, he's gonna rush for 800 yards. That's almost a given, in my opinion. What he does passing the ball is going to determine how high the stock goes. But I like Fields. I think if you, in non-superflex leagues, even in superflex leagues, you could use him as a second quarterback. I think there is significant upside with Justin Fields. I didn't like what I saw from him last year, but again, that was the Matt Nagy coaching staff that was just horrendous. Embarrassing themselves on a weekly basis. But I think Justin Fields, he's aggressive. He can run. The numbers might be better than we think. And again, running quarterbacks are the key to success in fantasy football. So that alone makes Fields a guy that you should definitely save a late round pick for. If he takes off, great. Again, we're all chasing Trey Lance, and we don't know. He's had 2 starts. We don't know what Trey Lance is going to be. Fields has got more experience. And he played well down the stretch. The last month of the season, Fields was putting up fantasy points. And that's what it's all about, the fantasy points. Now, his counterpart in this game, Jacoby Brissett, was terrible. 13 of 23, 109 passing, only 4.7 average. I mean, he's just dinking and dunking it down the field. Threw an interception. I want no part of this offense until Deshaun Watson comes back. I'm not looking, other than maybe Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt's the only one I'll look at, especially if you use the 0 running back approach. But that's it. I mean, David Njoku caught 3 balls. He's going to be the security blanket. We've seen Brissett in the past, when he was with the Colts and with the Dolphins, check down to tight ends all the time. So does Njoku have some value? He does. But I'm not obviously excited about Njoku as I was if Deshaun Watson was the quarterback. So I would just avoid the Browns offense altogether. I don't like Nick Chubb. I haven't, in a PPR league, he just doesn't do it for me because he doesn't catch the football. And now this offense is going to be bogged down with stacked fronts because nobody's going to respect Brissett. So that's a problem. Getting back to the Bears, David Montgomery, once again, 3 yards in a cloud of dust, 9 for 28. Khalil Herbert was 4 for 14, not much better, but he caught 2 passes for 25 yards. Khalil Herbert's fine. He's not, from the scary injury a week ago, he's okay. Herbert has juice that Montgomery doesn't have in his legs. So he was already pushing for a 50-50 timeshare. And if anything happens to Montgomery, I think we saw Herbert, and when he replaced Montgomery last year, do some good things. He can catch the ball. He can run. This is a guy who's got juice in his legs. He's got some home run hitting ability that Monty doesn't have. I'm not drafting David Montgomery anywhere. I need a little bit more excitement from my running back, a little bit more big play potential. Herbert has that. So, again, a late round dart throw, sure, there is some upside with Herbert. And if you use that zero running back approach, Herbert's the kind of guy that you want to load up on late as a lottery ticket that could pay off. All right, and then finally, Cole Kmet, 3 for 36 and a touchdown. Cole Kmet played great last season in a very difficult situation. No touchdowns because Jimmy Graham was there to siphon things off, and that was a fluky number, obviously. We all know that's not going to repeat. There's going to be a lot of catch-up passes being thrown by Justin Fields as the Bears trail. Cole Kmet and Darnell Mooney are really the only 2 receivers that the Bears have that have any sort of ability. So, am I interested in Cole Kmet? Yes, I've been interested in him all along. The price has gotten a little higher for my liking. I wanted him a little bit cheaper, but if I miss on the tight ends I like, and I've already said this, I'll use a 3rd round pick on Mark Andrews if he falls. I will not go anywhere any higher at tight end. I'm not going to use a 1st on Kelsey. I'm not going to use a 2nd on Andrews. If Andrews drops around 3, I'll take him. If Kyle Pitts is there around 3, I'll take him. If I miss on those, I'll go Dalton Schultz in round 5 or 6. If I miss on Schultz, I'll go Zach Ertz and, round 8 or 9. If I miss on Ertz, it's Cole Kmet. So it's Andrews, Pitts, round 3, Schultz, 5 or 6, Ertz, 8 or 9, then it's Cole Kmet. And again, you don't want to have too many pieces from the Chicago offense because there's going to be a lot of problems there. But young quarterback, throws to his tight ends. We've seen that over and over again. I think Kmet, could catch 70 balls in this offense. Think Austin Hooper with the Atlanta Falcons. That's the best comp that I can give you, and that's a pretty good. That's a pretty decent player, Austin Hooper, back in his Atlanta days. All right, Arizona versus Tennessee, Malik Willis. All right, so here's the thing with Malik Willis. Comes from Liberty, obviously a small school, there's a learning curve. But, he's actually played really well this preseason. 15 of 23 yesterday, 131 yards, a touchdown and a pick. Ran 4 times for 79 yards. I mean, my God, this guy is some athlete. And here's what's hysterical about Malik Willis, is that I can already see it now. At this time next year, Malik Willis is going, you could write it in ink. He's going to be hyped next year at this time the same way that Trey Lance is this year. You could just see it. Ryan Tannehill is not long for this team. This is probably his last season. Willis could be getting starts in December. I think the Titans, though, are still very talented. So I think that Tannehill, unless things completely blow up, Henry gets hurt, whatever, I think Tannehill should start the season all the way through. But if Willis gets in there for a few starts, again, he's got that running ability. He's got immense running ability. He's just like Justin Fields. He's just like Trey Lance. He can run, pick up yardage on the ground. That's always the fantasy gold mine right there. And again, if Tannehill is gone, which I expect he will be for next season, Malik Willis is going to be next year's Trey Lance. You could take it to the bank. And yeah, I'll be interested because, again, the running ability is there for sure. All right, Treylon Burks, tale of 2 halves, 3 for 33 and a touchdown. He got injured. He went to the locker room with an arm injury. It just looked like, here we go again. A bad summer is just getting worse for Treylon Burks. But in his defense, he came back out, caught 3 passes for the 33 yards and a touchdown. Robert Woods is the only receiver I think has any worth this season for the Titans. So Burks really is just a late round grab for me. Clearly it took a while for him to get up to speed to learn the offense. So And this team is not going to throw very much. The opportunities are just not going to be there for Burks. So I'm taking all the other prime rookie receivers over him. I'm taking Drake London over him. I'm obviously taking Chris Olave, who's my #1 rookie receiver for sure. Garrett Wilson, same thing. So, Burks, just a late round dart throw for me at this point. Philadelphia, Miami, so this game is skewed. The Eagles played nobody. Their defense was pathetic yesterday. They had the second and third string guys in there from the jump. So the numbers you got to take with a grain of salt. This game, more than any other yesterday, the numbers were skewed. Tua, 6 for 7, 121 yards and a touchdown. He hooked up with Tyreek Hill on a 52-yard pass play, but if you go back and watch it, he underthrew him. Should have been a touchdown. If it was Pat Mahomes, it would have been a touchdown. I'm not trying to be critical of Tua, but again, look at the play. He should have let him. And this is the problem with Tua. Can he throw the deep ball? Yes, the pass was completed, but that was more Hill's skill than Tua. And I'm still not – I still am convinced that Waddle and Hill are going to hurt each other and push each other down to, moderate wide receiver 2 range. If they beat my projection, then great. But I'm not willing to invest a second-round pick on Hill and a early fourth-round pick on Waddle. I'm going to look elsewhere. All right, I'd rather have Allen Robinson in 4th round. In the 2nd round, I'd rather have T. Higgins. I would take Keenan Allen over Tyreek Hill because we know the Chargers are going to throw it a ton. So I'm still hesitant to get involved with those guys. Miles Gaskin, maybe his last stand, 6 for 39. Raheem Mostert, 2 for 29. Listen, Raheem Mostert still has it, folks. He's barely played in the last couple of years, so the legs are fine. The juice is still in his legs. He can run. The Dolphins know what they have, though. They're not going to give him enough carries to make him fantasy worthy, in my opinion. Chase Edmonds is the guy. He was held out of the game, Edmonds, so that tells you all you need to know there as far as Mostert and Gaskin playing in a meaningless game. So Mostert, he remains interesting because of his big playability. He can take it to the house from anywhere on the field, but I'm done chasing. I'm done chasing the guy. He's hurt all the time. It's ridiculous. So I'm out there. Washington and Baltimore, Sam Howell. Wow, this guy's been a story. 24-35 passing, 280 yards and a touchdown. 8 for 62 on the ground. Sam Howell from North Carolina. So 2 years ago, if Howell would have came out for the NFL draft, he would have been a first-round draft pick. He loses Michael Carter. He loses Javonte Williams, loses all of his receivers. They go to the NFL. Last year, Howell was a man on an island by himself, got beat up. The protection was horrendous. His draft stock sunk. But this guy has tremendous accuracy. He is undersized, but he's a Drew Brees that can run, and that's a comp you gotta love. Howell's played great this entire summer, and we all know Carson Wentz sucks. I can't stand Carson Wentz, both personally and professionally. I think he's a jerk. He's a coach killer. Leave it to the Washington Commanders to think it a good idea to bring him in. I would love to see Sam Howell get into this offense. I actually think it would work out really well. Howell's got a lot of ability. I wrote about it in my scouting draft guide book that I released earlier in the year. And those who are new to the channel, I am an author. I do put out a fantasy football draft guide every year, which is on sale on Amazon, the Fantasy Sports Boss NFL Draft Guide, so look for it. Also, I do my scouting report book. I scout all the prospects each season. I put that in book form as well, and that will also be available on Amazon, so look for that as well. But Sam Howell, I liked him a lot in college. I thought it was unfair the way he was knocked coming into the draft this season, and he's showing it now on a big stage. Tampa Bay and Indianapolis, Brady, 6 of 8 for 44. He got his work in. Matt Ryan, 5 for 7 for 59. Michael Pittman was peppered, as we expected, 3 for 29. Listen, I think Michael Pittman's going to catch 100 passes, but the only thing is that the Matt Ryan curse in terms of touchdowns to his top receiver. Julio Jones never caught a lot of touchdowns with Ryan. Kyle Pitts only 1 touchdown last season. So is that going to be a thing? Who knows? They're going to run it a lot with Taylor. I do love Pittman. He's starting to creep into that late second round, which is a little rich for my taking, but I think Pittman's an easy 100-catch guy this season for 1,200 yards. It's just the touchdowns. Where are the touchdowns going to come in? Is Ryan going to finally break this curse that he's had with not throwing touchdowns to his main guy? We'll see. All right, Leonard Fournette, who I love, 2 for 13 on the ground, 1 for 2 in the air. I like Leonard Fournette more than most people. I would take him in early second round. I love Lenny. Of course, I would back him up with White, the rookie. I think Lenny gets disrespected too much. I know the noise about the weight and all this stuff, and he does miss games with injury for sure, but he's going to be, especially with the offensive line in the middle, might have some issues. They're going to be checking down a lot to Fournette, so in PPR league, he's going to catch a lot of balls. He's already gone over 80 catches multiple times in his career, so yeah, I'm all in on Fournette. Now, Cade Otton, 2 for 37. The Buccaneers have an opening for tight end. Cameron Brate caught 2 balls for 10 yards. He's still there, the old veteran, but he doesn't offer anything long term. I think Otton is somebody to watch. I wouldn't draft Otton, but I think if he becomes a starter, he's definitely somebody who I'd really be interested in. He's got good athletic ability. Keep Cade Otton on your watch list to begin the season. All right, that's all for today, folks. Again, look for the Chicago Bears posting I'm going to do later. I'm going to get to another bus posting video, I should say, later as well. Any injuries that come up, of course, I will be jumping on as well. So hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. The like button, if you hit that like button, it really helps me. It helps the indexing of the videos. And also follow me on Twitter at RotoBoss on Twitter. All right, everybody, we'll talk soon. Have a great day.